Hey boys and girls, how are we today? Paul here with another instalment of Sagacious Sundays. And as you can see, our lucky charm Dirawong here is still hanging around, looking down, keeping an eye on us, keeping us on track. Today we are looking at another seemingly simple idiom, and it is called people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. So today we are diving into the murky waters of duality and judgment. Hold on for the ride. Now this proverb has been used extensively throughout Europe, and it deals directly on a surface level, one-on-one hypocrisy. I couldn't actually find the true origins of this, how far back it actually goes. I did find that a man named George Herbert in 1651 wrote, "Whose house is of glass must not throw stones at another." Just old English. It's been used by presidents of America, Abraham Lincoln, I think George Washington, and also Benjamin Franklin, I believe, but don't quote me on that. So what this is about, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. We should not criticise other people if we are not perfect ourselves, and especially if that very same negative trait we're complaining about is there within us. So it's a little bit like some bloke said about 2,000 years ago, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." And that's a fair comparison, actually. So before we begin to target someone else's mistakes, maybe remind yourself of your own failings. And if you do find fault with others, it's most likely you'll find that very same fault within yourself if you choose to internally reflect. And I would also suggest that in this situation of judging others, don't judge a book by its cover, because you do not know the trials, tribulations, and tests that person has endured for their life that's taken them down this path that they're on, that you are only witnessing nothing more than a snapshot of their life. And that's also a way of looking at it too, a valid way of looking at it. And let's face it, if you're into judgment, be careful of the fact that it takes one to know one. So from takes one to know one, we now get to perception is reflection. Now, perception is reflection is basically 101 for psychology. Now, disclaimer, I am not a psychologist. I have not studied psychology. I do not claim that. I have, however, done my fair share of study in the life coaching industry. And the life coaching industry is very much centered on perception is reflection. So, what is that? Well, when we acknowledge certain traits and characteristics from other people, we are actually acknowledging that there is a part of them, or that those traits and characteristics that are present within us. And that can be either positive or negative. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. So, the things that that stop you and you admire in a person for their generosity, their unconditional love, whatever, that's actually present in you too. You are capable of those great things too. So it's not always just a negative thing. However, in the coaching field, for example, if you are triggered into an excessive or an extreme response, then chances are on a much deeper level, on almost a soul level, certainly a subconscious level, that trait is most likely present within you. And not only is it present within you, it's something you probably really deep down do not like about yourself. And when you see it in someone else, you get triggered, and that's when people go from 0 to 100. And no, not even a pause in between. But don't forget, it's also true that these positive traits that you appreciate in other people, it's still perception and reflection. These positive traits are also positive qualities that are a part of you. But what we've just been talking about, if you think on another level, is basically yin and yang. So yin and yang, that symbol, that circular symbol that's divided basically in half, with a dark half with a white spot. So no matter how dark you are, you can never be truly rid of the light. And the light side that also has a black spot, no matter how filled with the light you are, you can never truly be rid of the darkness. So we've all got our negative traits, so to speak. But when you're about to acknowledge or recognize someone and judge them, remember the third video that we delved into? Karma, what goes around comes around. Might be relevant. So the solution is to acknowledge these qualities, either positive or negative, that we have within us, and spend a little time in personal reflection and meditation and see where the qualities are, be they positive or negative, and you probably be examining yourself on the negative side on how to make them better. That would be the good thing. But the way you treat others with your actions and words will come back to haunt you. So before you get invested into accusations, reflect. And just because it's in you doesn't mean that you've got it as to the same level as the person that you're judging. You might only have 1 or 2%, but it's still there and you just don't like it about yourself. So again, invest in personal reflection, some me time, and some meditation. And also, before you get into judgment, remember that bloke I mentioned from 2,000 years ago? He said something like, love thy neighbour as thyself. And that's a valid point too, because we are all created from the same cosmic ingredients. We all come from the same source, and we are all connected on an energetic and a soul level. So, whenever possible, treat people as another you, because ultimately they are another you, because we all come from the same source. Now, just another side note too. If you feel yourself triggered, remember the video, take a deep breath, 6 seconds, and then think. Might be pretty relevant about now. However, I'd like to go back to treating other people as a self. So if you treat other people as another self, because ultimately we are all stardust, universal energy, whatever you want to call it, treat these people as messengers or even the bearers of lessons for you to learn and personally grow on an internal level. Now this can be hard. Again, you need to take that breath. Be grateful for their efforts because they are actually helping you grow. The trick is to recognize that, oh yeah, I've got a test here. Thank you. Because now I'm going to learn. I'm going to come out the other end slightly better than I was an hour ago, let's say. And what this will lead to with all this understanding that people are here as messengers and people who are here as lesson givers, and you treat them as other selves, you will start to look at yourself and reflect much deeper and much with a much more quality of reflection. But what this will lead to is you're going to get a deeper and different understanding of who you really are, the real you. And this could bring you face to face with your fears, your doubts, and your insecurities. But that's a good thing, because when you shine a light on something, the darkness goes away. Now, there was an ancient Greek philosopher that most of us have heard of, Socrates. He said, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. So, again, to recap, rather than judge others, maybe get away from being in the glass house, make sure your backyard is clean before you go looking over somebody else's fence. Maybe invest in yourself by simple reflection and meditation on what it is that's triggering you. Is this present in me? And it's not a case of having to fix it. It's more a case of acknowledging it. It's not that you need to get rid of something or, you're broken. You're not broken. Just means that there's a little bit of that in you to some level, and you could probably do a little bit better through some reflection. So I hope that's stimulated your thought processes and maybe leading you to another way of thinking in that situation. And as such, I hope you employ a little bit of reflection on yourself. Be gentle, be kind. You're not broken, but just acknowledge who you really, really are. So, with that, I will say goodbye from me and goodbye from him. And we will see you again another time for another episode of Sargacious Sundays. Ciao for now.